We are not asked to embrace suffering. We are asked by God to embrace the will of God in suffering. We must go through many hardships to enter the kingdom of God. No one is going to get to heaven without going through many hardships. Is there some way we can cope with those external problems, sickness, pain, financial stress? Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance develops, makes you mature and complete, not lacking in anything. We're moving to a time prior to an epical event in human history called the Second Coming of Christ. But before that Second Coming of Christ, there has to be a real house cleaning. Jesus tells us this kind of tribulation is going to be the worst suffering in the history of mankind. The question is, how do we cope with it? How do we deal with it? Test yourself to see whether you really have faith. St. James says the same thing, that our problems should give us great joy. Problems of any kind should give us joy as a testing of our faith. Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known and all-knowing God. The goodness of God, the power of God, the promises of God is the foundation for our hope. Everything we hope for in the slightest way should be ultimately connected with our eternal status in heaven, directly or indirectly. A good love relationship with our Creator is exquisitely personal and very intimate on His part. He waits for us. When we follow the promptings of grace, we can use a phrase that's rather common that illustrates our cooperation with God, and that's go with the flow of grace. There's a flow of grace pouring upon us all the time. Sometimes we may resist that. Other times we may cooperate with that. We're immersed in an ocean of God's loving presence and this providential concern. And just knowing this kind of helps us to surrender in this enveloping love. Especially when we're suffering, it's more difficult to see the hand of God in that suffering and the providence of God in that suffering.